everyone. It is back to school night out here in California, which means that my middle schooler will be getting in the car in a few minutes. I am in the pickup line. We're going to race home, get homework started. I'm going to throw dinner at everyone, and then I'm going to race back here with my husband to be on the parent side of the desk for back to school night. I did the same spiel, the dog and pony show, last week for my high school classes, and I built a Prezi that I'm happy to share here with you. I thought other teachers might find it interesting to see what another teacher says to the parents. If you'd like a copy of the slides you're about to see, feel free to go to the little description link right there, grab yourself a copy of that reusable Prezi, change out a few names and details, and you should be good to go. So give me a second, I'll switch it over, and you're welcome to come on into my room for back to school night. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to Back to School Night. You should be in room H9, and on the schedule it should say Honors Freshman English with Laura Randazzo. That's me. If you want to jot down my email, if you didn't already have it, it's there for you. And of course, our class website, which you can also navigate to through the school's main website. So I have only 10 minutes, so I'm going to talk a little faster than I should, but I want to get through everything. So first up, you're probably wondering, who is this lady up in front of the class? Well, at this point, I'm one of the veteran stateswomen of the department since I've been on this campus since '98, which your children gleefully told me the first week of school is longer than they've been alive. So I've been doing this work a very long time. Prior to becoming a teacher, I actually worked as a newspaper reporter and editor, both here in the Bay Area and in my home state of New Mexico. And I tell you that just so that you know, ink is in my veins. Writing is so important to me, and it's the cornerstone of every class I teach here at Amador, including this freshman class this year. I'm also a wife and a mom of two. My oldest just graduated from college from UC Davis. Huzzah. My youngest is in 7th grade. So I've kind of walked this path through high school that you guys are on right now. And I also am in the trenches every night at the kitchen table overseeing middle school homework. So I'm right there with you. I understand the trials and tribulations of parenting teens and tweens. So just so you know, I feel ya. So when we think about the Honors English class, basically my goals are to make your students better readers, public speakers, deep thinkers, because of course those analytical skills are so important. In the future when you're in work, I want our students to see a problem and think of 3 different ways to approach solving that problem. But really, above all, I want our students to be strong writers. Because of my background as a writer, it is so important to me that I give those skills as best I can to your students. Maybe you've had this experience where you have had to sit down and write a really important thing. Maybe it is a cover letter for your dream job, or maybe it's just an email to your boss covering a really sort of crunchy moment, and you want to make sure that your tone is right, that you're not misunderstood. Maybe you sit down and you look at that final draft before you hit the send button, and you wonder, are you saying it exactly as you intend it? Maybe you're just wondering where the commas go. Well, I want your students not to have that feeling in the pit of their stomachs of uncertainty. I want your student, when he or she sits down, to know confidently how to approach that page. And so that's going to be a major focus of everything we do here in class. Looking around the room, you probably noticed that I like technology. And if you've spent any time on my website, you've seen the flipped videos, you probably heard my voice in your living rooms and those sorts of things. I really believe that technology should be a means of communicating information in an easier way. It doesn't change the rigor of what we're doing in the class, but I think of the technology as adding sizzle to the steak that I've been serving for years. I'm a techie. I like that kind of stuff. So you probably noticed this really cool smartboard. It's basically just a giant tablet glued to the wall, and we can do all kinds of cool things with it. And the kids definitely want to get up here and interact with it. My website is there as a tool for you. Rest assured, it is always accurate and up to date. It drives me crazy as a parent to go to a teacher's website and not have it be accurate information. It just creates confusion and stress where we don't need to have that. So please know that before I leave campus each day, I do update the website because things change. I get a wild hair and decide to try something different, or there's a fire alarm and that throws everything off. So I definitely make sure it's an accurate reflection of what we did that day in class and what the homework is that evening. And then if you like this sort of zip zoomy thing I have going on here, this is called a Prezi, and you can check it out for free at Prezi.com. The kids really like them, and it holds their attention for far longer than a traditional PowerPoint would. Tech for you guys is now that your student is in high school, you want to let them stretch their wings a little bit, but you don't want to let them like fall out of the nest and break their necks. So I say be involved, but don't let them know that you're involved. So be a little bit of a homework snoop, look on the calendar, and then at dinner say, so what's going on in English class? And then the kid might, offer that, oh, you have a essay coming up next week and you could ask about that, but you already knew about it, because you already saw the calendar and you knew what was up. The Q is our online grading system, which, as you know, you have your parent logins. I would say get on there like maybe once or twice a month just to sort of see what's happening. I update about twice a week because, again, as a parent, I want to have that information about my own kids. But don't drive yourselves crazy. Certainly don't have it like up at work where you're monitoring by the minute what your kid is doing. That's for your student to sort of manage on his or her time. But do be aware that the grades are there. I update twice a week because I don't want to wait like a month before anything's been added in. I want to give regular and timely feedback to the kids so you can see what's going on. And then, of course, email me. That's the quickest, easiest way to let me know if something's going on at home, or if you just have a question. If you email me, hey, keep it on the down low, don't let Junior know, but I'm wondering about, I will protect your confidence because there is a code of parents that I respect, and I'll let you know what's going on without your student knowing that you know what's going on. This is a college preparatory class, which means it meets the A through G requirements for our UCs and our CSUs. The class is built to meet all of the Common Core state standards at this grade level. In fact, we've always met the Common Core standards before it even existed. When the standards came out a couple of years ago, I went through them and saw that we were pretty much doing it already. So I like to say that we were Common Core before Common Core was cool. We also touch on some of those SAT test-taking skills that your kids will be held accountable for when they're a little bit older. You'll notice some practice sections of materials that sometimes I ask for your signature. I don't expect you to check the answers, just so you know. Instead, I'll go over that. That's my job on my end of things. I just want you to sign off weekend things just to make sure your student did it at home and not just copied answers at brunch. So sometimes you'll see your student asking for your signature. Just sign away that they did it at home, and then I'll make sure it's accurate when we get to class. All of our vocabulary is taken from the most commonly used words on the SAT, but not those archaic old ones that are thankfully getting boiled out of the newer version of the SAT, but more like those ones that real life professional adults use in their working world. So they're words that the kids will come across in their more complex texts. They are fresh and relevant and words that you probably use today at work. There's gonna be tons of writing, as I already mentioned, and they've already received their first essay back. The next one's coming up next week. By all means, check out my writing advice. I've got all kinds of things on the website, and let me know if I can help diagnose any of the writing missteps that your student has. And then I also need to remind you parents about the grading scale here at Amador. So A means excellent, amongst this like incredibly talented group. B means above average. I got more than I thought I would see on this assignment from this student. And C means average. C does not mean fail. C means your student did about the average of what I expected on this assignment. So do know that right now there's not a ton of points in the grade book, and things will be changing rapidly as that bucket sort of fills up. But again, contact me and let me know if there's any questions about the grades. The literature we get to teach at the freshman year is so rich. And if I had more than 10 minutes with you guys, I could talk about these things for hours. But you might want to consider getting a physical copy of the book for your student to annotate. I have copies that I can check out to your student. That's not a problem. And they can annotate using Post-it notes as we go. But some students really like to have their own copy so they can jot down notes in the margins and then keep them. As scholars, they might revisit these works again in college. So these are going to be our big units, and then there'll be lots of smaller pieces of literature. There's some plays. There's some nonfiction we'll be covering as well. But we'll start with Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men. We'll get to a more modern piece by an American writer named Barbara Kingsolver. She's always on the New York Times bestseller bestseller lists. This one's called The Bean Trees. We will go back to the classics for Homer's epic poem, The Odyssey. That'll start, I'd say around January or February. And then we close out the year with 2 scoops of Shakespeare, both Romeo and Juliet. And then I teach the companion piece, the lighter version, A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is a comedy, which has some of those threads pulled through it from Romeo and Juliet. Also, if when we get into the literature and your student is struggling, I would consider finding an audiobook version. Sometimes kids are more auditory learners, and they get a lot more out of hearing actors speak the lines as they're reading the book, and it helps with the stickiness for the work that we're going to do in class. Finally, I can't let you leave before begging for money. Basically, there's no money, which means we're super sad around here. The teachers were able to write a grant, and we got a brand new, beautiful computer lab for the English students to use. So 2,500 students have access to that lab, but we need a little bit of money to maintain it. So if you can, it's completely optional. If you could consider making a very small donation, it'll help us replace keyboards as they get broken, or mice, that go missing or have problems. So please, if you could, leave a check tonight or send one with your student. Again, you don't have to, it's completely optional. And then also, if you have a few extra bucks and you remember it, if you could send a box of Kleenex with your kid. There are so many noses, and the allergy season seems to be so long around here. We sure could use some boxes of Kleenex around here, because I don't, alas, get money for that in my supplies. Finally, I'm going to end if there's any questions. And then at this point in the program, teachers, I'm not talking to you, the bell is pretty much rung. I can talk for 10 minutes like it's no big thing. In fact, I never get to this any questions slide. Okay, that's it. Talking to parents used to make me nervous on back to school night. It always felt a little bit like speed dating, where oh, that is a big yellow car. It felt like speed dating. You got 10 minutes, because they cycle through every 10 minutes, to make a great first impression on these folks. So that's what we do. There's no way we can talk about everything the parents need to know about our classes for the whole year, but really it is making a great impression. Because what the parents want to know is that we're professional, we're knowledgeable, and that their kids are going to have a great year in our class. And we can certainly give them that in those 10 minutes. So that's it for me. I think the tweenagers are about to descend, so I got to wrap it up. More information at laurarandazzo.com. And as always, I'm so glad you spent a few minutes with me here. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye.